That right there is a reason to join the parish committee, because you get to ring that bell. Right? Am I right, John? Nominating committee coming up. Good morning. I'm Leah Levine, and I am a member of your parish committee. I did it for the bell. And we are so glad to see you here today in the sanctuary and online. We'd like to welcome anyone who's new and visiting for the first time. We are so glad to have you here. And we welcome you to come down after the service right below here in the vestry for some coffee and conversation. And I think there's a whole row that might be able to help me with this question, because do you know what this is for? That's for, well, this is for not antisocial people, I would say. If you would like to chat and converse, you can hold one of these and we will find you. Okay, and so this is to indicate you're open to conversation, and we love that, so go for it if it feels right to you. Our mission is to build community, search for meaning, deepen our spirituality, and to make the world a better place. If you have any questions about First Parish or Unitarian Universalism, someone from our membership team will be available at the coffee hour. If you hold the red mug, they will probably find you anyway, but if you're looking for them, they'll be at a table, welcome table, or you can speak to Kate Holland, who's right here, director of the new title, is probably not written right here, Lifespan Religious. Oh, it is. Lifespan Religious Exploration. That's Kate. They would love to meet you, as would all of us. A big thank you to everyone who's participating today in the service. They're listed in the order of service. Please remember to silence any device that makes noises unwittingly. And let's all turn to each other. Give a little wave to someone you've never waved at before. Give a little wave, and don't forget to also say hello to everyone on that camera. Yeah. In the universe out there.
I'm going to do something soon. I'm all good.
Okay. Very good. So welcome to all, and we have a few important announcements that I'm going to turn it over to now. I think there's somebody here to talk about stewardship.
Thank you, Leah.
So, this is the real Dan Lewis and Kathy Schmidt, your stewardship team. We are not in the order of service, but we know you'd like to hear how well the canvas is going. We've had a fantastic response to our This Is Our Moment campaign. With a week still to go, we've already had $273,000, or 2/3 of our $410,000 goal met.
And it's harder to put a number on it, but canvassers report some excellent conversations and terrific feedback. So important as we enter a new year with a new minister. We still have 6 days to return pledges in order to get eligible for the drawing that will be at the amazing celebration next Sunday. And it's so easy to make your pledge. You go to the website, you click on the button that says donate, all is clear.
And I want to say that I proudly figured out how to use the QR code on your brochure, and that takes you right to where you need to go to fill out your pledge. It couldn't be easier. Now we'd like to introduce Steve Rogers and Kara Segi, who are busy making plans for the celebration Sunday next Sunday.
Because this is our moment.
Good morning, everybody. This is our moment. Kara and I would like to, oh, wait a minute. Anybody seen Kara? Well, Kara, I know she has something like really important to tell us.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning, choir. Hi, Polly. Hey, Steve. I'm coming. I'm coming.
Glad to see you, Kara.
Yeah, I am.
I was just telling folks I knew you had something really important to tell them.
One love. One love. One love. One love. One love. Woo! I am so excited. I am so excited. Today is our celebration for stewardship after service. I'm so excited.
Kara, wait a minute.
What?
I'll just whisper this to you. That's next week.
Oh.
It's not today.
You mean the mocktails? Not today? Or the great food we ordered? And all the prizes for all the people that were so fantastic with working on this?
No, really, Kara. We'd love to see you today.
Yeah, okay.
But
Well,
I'm afraid that's right. It's not for today.
luckily, all right, I'm recuperating here. We do have other good news. We have a great small team planning a wonderful celebration for everyone to come and celebrate our collective work on stewardship. When? When, Steve?
Next
Sunday.
Sunday.
Okay.
A
Gotta
week
get
from
dressed up again.
today.
Yeah, and what's going to be there?
There's going to be, believe it or not, there's going to be some reggae music. There's going to be high celebration, a lot of fun. We'll have food, we'll have some fun drinks. We'll also have some coffee in it, maybe Jamaican coffee.
I think it's definitely going to be Jamaican coffee.
The party's for everybody, family friendly. We hope you'll be there.
That's right, and we will have special drawings for all of the folks who get their pledges in by this coming Friday, March 20th. So don't miss that. And remember, you can also do it online. You can pledge online, especially if you need to get it done under the wire and you still want to be considered for the drawing. So it's really easy and convenient.
It will be, and again, it's next Sunday. Get your sunglasses, get a fun hat, get some fun, colorful stuff, and come on down.
You will not want to miss it. You're going to be well fed, and maybe you'll leave dancing.
Amid all of our festivities and fun, we have a very special guest this morning. The Reverend Mary Margaret Earl has served as Executive Director and Senior Minister of the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry for 11 years now. And if you don't know what the Urban Ministry is, talk to many of us and make sure you connect with Mary Margaret. She works for racial justice to strengthen connections between UUs and the Roxbury neighborhood, where the UUUM operates. She has served on the leadership team of Moral Movement Massachusetts, the Roxbury Cultural Network, and the search committee for the Roxbury Community College president. Prior to her arrival at the UU Urban Ministry, she spent 10 years at a faith-based nonprofit in Rhode Island serving the homeless community. She is past president of the Board of Rhode Island Coalition for the Homeless, recipient of the Heroes of Faith Award from Rhode Island State Council of Churches for interfaith work, and received a Courage of Conscience Award from the Peace Abbey in Sherburne. She is also a longtime vegan committed to standing up for non-human animals. She is a wonderful person, and if you don't know the great work that she and the Urban Ministry has done, please familiarize yourself with it. Now, that being said, I get to make the last announcements. I'm John Thompson, here representing, I think, every committee, task force, working group, and all the individuals and groups that make this place work. Or at this moment, a representative for the nominating and membership committees. I, like so many others of you, have and continue to gladly work on behalf of this community. I'm hoping each of you are ready to find your people and make the magic happen. Whether you've been here for 20 years or 20 minutes, we have a place for you. You are welcomed. So, quick poll. Raise your hand and keep it up for a moment if you've helped this community by any of the following? Have you greeted as you worked as an usher, a greeter, coffee hour host? Nurtured our future in the nursery, SEEK program, religious exploration committees? Have you led a small group? Worked in social action, taking a candy cane from the undecorate the tree? Fueled our fellowship in the kitchen for potlucks, spaghetti nights, or memorial services? Kept us running through yard sales, buildings and grounds, work days, interiors, arranging art in the narthex, the auction, dining for dollars, Canvas. Express your spirit through flowers or summer services or lay ministry. Have you sung in the choir? Have you shared your wisdom with finance as a trustee on the worship committee or the parish committee? Or many of the other ways we serve. I keep thinking and looking around, I didn't mention tech and so many, many, many other ways. Look around. This is the heartbeat of the community. And here's the secret. These roles aren't just chores. They're where our deepest friendships are made. It's the coming together in the kitchen or in the committee meetings, on work days, or at the auction, where we really get to know each other, build lasting friendships, share our histories and dreams, find comfort and support. Please don't wait for a tap on the shoulder or a formal invitation. We are a self-motivated group. If you're interested in something, step up. Let us know. Your voice and skills are exactly what we need. If you want some more information or find a way to get involved that fits your time and passion, come see us in the sunroom after the service. Don't be shy or think you have little to offer. Get involved and make connections. We'll be there to help you and grow with you, as you can each help everyone else. And only in the sunroom will you find my cookies today. See you there. Thank you so much.
Me again. They don't know I'm going to do this, but I have to get up to the choir loft to get ready for the song, and I'm supposed to light the chalice. Is there anyone who could help me light the chalice, like a whole row of people that probably know the words? Would you all come up here to light the chalice? Even you, tweenager. All right, so gather around Max if you want to say the words. And then who's going to do the lighting? Do it together. Come over here. Everyone do words too. Okay. You guys got it.
With open minds and loving hearts, we gather to search for meaning, to care for one another, and to work together for a better world.
For Good morning. Before our opening words, I have two items I wanted to mention to you. The first is that the testimonial with Cynthia Barber and Max LaPenta will in fact happen a little earlier in our service, right after our opening hymn and before the time for all ages. And the second item is that you will see somewhere, perhaps in your order of service, a small slip of paper, and it says, "The strength at the center of me." This is a special shared ritual for the service today, and I invite you between now and our music for meditation to consider a time in your life where you went through something very difficult and trying, and to consider what it was at your core that got you through it. And think of a word or a sentence that describes that core thing at the center of you that got you through it, and write it down. These will be collected during the music for meditation, and if you'll pass them then to the center aisle, it will make it easier for us to collect them. Some of them will be shared during the sermon. Our opening words are titled Pacing. Pacing. Winter's visit was long. She draped herself over the garden beds, over the hedges, over the landscape, until the world became unrecognizable except for her frozen presence. But still we dreamed of creeping phlox and rows of peas and summer squash ripening, of bird song and early sunrise. But still we laid plans. In the harshest days, there were garden maps and perseverance through snowbank and ice. And now the days begin to crack open to the sounds of goldfinch and robins, the sounds of hope alive. The world will turn itself over, friends. Things will change. Now comes the muddy part. We roll up our sleeves and rebuild, pacing ourselves, setting to work and pacing for the long road of repair ahead. I invite you to stand as you are able and join in our opening hymn, "We Are a Gentle, Angry People," hymn number 170.
Singing
And I invite forward those who are giving this morning's testimonial. Cynthia Barber and Max LaPenta.
Max, it's been almost a year since the first time we visited First Parish.
It's only been a year?
Yes, do you remember our first visit?
Yeah, we were sitting right over there.
Before the service started, Kate invited you to join the Sikh classroom. And what did you say?
I'm scared of church and I don't know anything about it.
But she said,
you don't have to know anything about church. You just have to know how you feel and what's important on how you treat people and how you treat others. And you know what? We're going to watch a Twilight Zone episode, and that's pretty cool.
And I'm very opinionated, so I know what I want. Yeah. Yeah, and that was very cool.
And do you remember what you said after our visit?
Yeah, after you told me what I said after this.
Oh, man.
Wow, everyone was so nice here.
Do you still feel that way?
Yeah, I tell all my friends that First Parish is chill and we have dessert after church.
Yeah! It seems to me that one of the hard parts of being a kid is that your world is defined by home and by school. First Parish provides a third place where you can be seen and appreciated by adults who aren't your parents. All of you in the pews, you do this for our children every week. Does that seem fair to you, Max? Thumbs up. It's a third space for me, too, a place that's not work and it's not home, and where friendships don't end because somebody's child decided to drop an activity.
Wait, did we keep this part? Okay. Church gets me out of bed.
No.
Hey, why isn't my sister Vivian up here too?
Well, she's working down in the nursery. She loves it down there, playing with the little kids, and it's something that really gives her a mission and makes her feel like getting out of bed on Sunday.
Church gets me out of bed too.
Since we like a little dose of poetry around here, I want to share a poem that I wrote after we joined in May last year. And just to explain one of the lines in the poem, for those who don't know, we used to sing Galliamos each week as the children left for Sikh. What spirit moves within these walls, in chorus calls and choir bells, to Galliamos and fill our Sunday plate? What spirit skips down these halls, leading the paths of joys and sorrows, to light a candle and just breathe? What spirit co-creates this place, welcoming each onto this place? You should know, for it is us and we are home. May it be so.
Oh, there we go. I'm Kate Holland. I'm the director of Lifespan Religious Exploration. I just changed my title, so not everybody's used to it. So I'm here to share with you a story. And so when I was growing up, I went to the Catholic Church. And so we read the Christian Bible. And as a child, I loved a lot of the stories that were in that book. And so I'm going to share one with you this morning. So the story I have this morning it talks about one of the miracles that Jesus performed. And so a miracle is something that is just fantastical that Jesus could do only because God had given him the power to do it. And so there was a time when Jesus was preaching and he came to a hill and people heard, they got the word around that he was coming to teach, and 5,000 people gathered in that area just to hear him talk about loving one another, about even caring for your enemies, and making the world a better place to be closer to God. So during that time, as he spoke, he realized that people needed to be fed because it had gone on quite a long time. And so there wasn't a lot of food. He and his disciples had 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish. Jesus offered up the bread and blessed it and gave it to his disciples to hand out amongst the 5,000 people. According to the story, there was enough for everyone. As they passed the baskets, each person found food to be fed to them. Now, in the Christian tradition, they believe that Jesus made that food to go around. And as I've gotten older and I've kind of learned different things about my faith that I believe in now, I think of that story very differently. I think of that story as showing the miracle that is all of us. In that moment, I see them offer up those loaves and those fishes, and when they passed them, people who needed food for that moment took some. But people who came, had food enough for themselves, shared some. And so as it passed, each person was given what they needed to sustain themselves in that moment. And it shows to me the spark of the divine that I believe is in each of us, where we come together and we care for one another and we work together to make a better world. There you go, even worked in the covenant in there. And I think it's an amazing thing that miracles to me don't happen because one person is blessed by a God. Miracles are in the flowers that come up on the spring, and it's in the eyes and the caring of each of us. So I'm going to invite the choir and Polly to sing us out as our friends in our Sikh classes who you got to see like the chalice are going to go to their class. Thank you.
I'm very grateful to learn that Wayland has chosen the Unitarian Universalist Urban Ministry as a Share the Plate recipient. And as many of you know, the UU Urban Ministry works to make Greater Boston a more fair place for everybody. I invite you to give now, and your offering will be received with gratitude.
I'm one of the lay ministers at this church. My pronouns are he, his, him. This is a time in our service we set aside to acknowledge the joys and sorrows that we all hold. In both our sharing and our witness, we affirm our covenant to care for one another. We face the uncertainty of the road ahead in our country and in our world. We light our vigil candle in solidarity with all those who are living in fear. We offer our deep love for all beings, remembering that justice is what love looks like in public. May the love which abides in our community offer hope, strength, and peace in the days to come. If you have a personal joy or sorrow you would like to share, please feel welcome to come forward, or you may raise your hand and I'll bring you the mic. For those who are online, I'll try and walk and chew gum at the same time and read your joys and sorrows. If you agree, it's wonderful. So as Mary Margaret lights one more candle, on behalf of all the joys and sorrows that are left unspoken, let us hold each other in a circle of care with a moment of silence. Blessed be.
And as we enter into the time of musical meditation, please pass your slips of paper to the center aisle where they can be collected. Our reading is from the book The Demon of Unrest by Eric Larson, about the events and tensions leading up to the launch of the Civil War. And here's the context for the reading. Senator Seward of New York, an abolitionist who later would become Abraham Lincoln's Secretary of State, before Lincoln took office, gave a conciliatory speech to calm the rising anger of the slaveholding states, which were threatening secession. He assured them that he would vote for a constitutional amendment that Congress would not abolish enslavement where it already existed. His wife, also an abolitionist, and his other allies were disappointed in his effort to appease the riled up South. And of course, his reassurances did not succeed. From the book, quote, "What Senator Seward perhaps did not truly understand was that at this point in the crisis, the thing the South most resented was the inalterable fact that the North, like the rest of the modern world, condemned slavery as a fundamental evil. In so doing, abolitionists and their allies impugned the honor of the entire Southern white race. For if slavery was indeed evil, then the South itself was evil, and its echelons of gentlemen, called the chivalry, were nothing more than moral felons. Yet the chivalry had persuaded themselves of a different reality. Slavery was a positive good. It was endorsed by the Bible. and by anthropological observation. Even two famed northern anthropologists, Louis Agassiz and Charles Morton, both of Harvard, no less, had proclaimed on the basis of purportedly scientific research that the black race was not only inferior, but a different species altogether. If slavery was good, then slave owners were good, and anyone who said otherwise abraded their honor, something no Southerner could forgive. So ends our reading. I want to thank my colleague, the Reverend Lisa Perry Wood, for welcoming me back to this community today. It is always a joy and a gift to be visiting in Wayland, where your delegates to the urban ministry are Susan Crowley-Bechtel and Lee Anderson. They help to serve as conduits between the work that is happening in Wayland and the work that is happening at the urban ministry in Roxbury, and we are so grateful for their service. My colleague, Maggie, who you saw collecting slips, is here with me somewhere, and she'll be in the social hour after the service and able to answer your questions about our work. Wayland has a really significant history with the urban ministry, and there's a way that Wayland is really woven into the fabric, especially of our historic campus in Roxbury. Some of you may have joined back in the day at the annual Wayland Workday, which is one of the famous things that I learned about when I came to the urban ministry. And over the past 10 or 11 years, we've been restoring our campus to bring it back to its former beauty. And as part of that, the Lydia Mariah Child Fund made a grant toward accessibility in our Peace Garden. There are so many ways you've been woven into our work. Your longtime minister, the Reverend Ken Sawyer, was a faithful board member of the urban ministry, and he was actually on the committee that hired me, very dear to me, as was Chris Nelson, who served with excellence as our board chair, and she is somebody who I credit with the vision, the original vision of transforming the Meeting House, in believing in its restoration. That was not a vision that was universal at the time, and now, in part because of her faith in the project, it is a jewel in Roxbury and in Boston. We have now finally completed the interior restoration, the final major phase. We have gotten our occupancy permit, and next Sunday, we are going to have a concert that I hope I might see some of you at in our restored meeting house called the Immigrant Experience. And it's led by some Unitarian Universalist choirs, and proceeds will benefit organizations that we work with that work in particular with immigrants. So I hope I will see some of you there. I also credit significantly John Beard, who was a member of our fundraising committee, who was so amazing in raising funds for the job, for the work. He is very tenacious, John Beard is, and I'm very grateful for it. Among the supporters to the work of the urban ministry are Chris Nelson, John and Molly Beard, Charlie and Lee Anderson, Lynn Lipcon, Linda and Steve Collins, Kathleen Lang, Barbara Buell, Natalie and John Thompson, Ross and Lynn Trimby, Marilyn Kaczarski, and others. And we are so grateful for all the ways that Wayland lifts up and supports our work. So thank you. It is good to be here with you in this moment in history, which is a really hard moment, and it's an intense moment in our history as a country. Every day we get up and we face this cascade of headlines that frighten us and frustrate us and make us angry. Who here sometimes feels a bit like a cat chasing a laser beam when you are trying to follow the news, right? Or who here feels exhausted before you finish your first cup of morning coffee, right? I'm with you. So this morning, we are going to focus on how we resist being drawn into chaos, about how we stay grounded in the midst of it. And we're going to begin by breathing in and out. We can never do that too much. Bring ourselves back to center. And we're going to begin with a story. In March of 1861, Abraham Lincoln was inaugurated and became president when the nation was on the brink. At the heart of the stress fracture between North and South was enslavement. This conflict was intensifying as Southern slaveholders feared that Lincoln would end their dominion. For years, the dispute over enslavement had simmered. The South, no longer in step with the rest of a world that had deemed it immoral, protected the institution ferociously. Political solutions like the Missouri Compromise had tenuously held the nation together, but all of that was coming undone with Lincoln's unlikely election. This gangly, rough-hewn president had a deep and abiding faith in the Constitution of our young country and in the central importance of its cohesion, and he waded into the center of a fiery cauldron. One of the first letters to be passed to him after he assumed the presidency was about the crisis at Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina. This moment we now know was the spark that finally ignited the Civil War. Charleston was a hub for slave trading, and South Carolina the first state to secede. The politics of the slave-holding state were driven by the wishes of a group of wealthy enslavers known as the chivalry. Eric Larson, in the book The Demon of Unrest that I shared earlier, told of the events leading up to the attack on Fort Sumter, and he described the chivalry thus, quote, "The chivalry gave themselves military titles and favored elaborate uniforms. Their Southern Carolina standard-bearer, novelist William Gilmore Simms, wrote 82 novels in which chivalry and honor were central themes. Chivalry, to him, meant Gallantry, stimulated by courage, warmed by enthusiasm, and refined by courtesy. The chivalry valued honor above all human traits and would happily kill to sustain it, end quote. Their fierce commitment to enslavement was propelled by economics and power, yes, but also something even deeper: self-image. Southern enslavers needed to see enslavement as good because they wanted to be seen as good, and this was an electric nerve running through the conflict. Quoting again the quote we heard earlier, "The thing the South most resented," Larson wrote, "was the inalterable fact that the North, like the rest of the modern world, condemned slavery as a fundamental evil. In so doing, abolitionists and their allies impugned the honor of the entire Southern white race, for if slavery was indeed evil, then the South itself was evil, and its echelons of gentlemen, the chivalry, were nothing more than moral felons," end quote. This, Larson wrote, the South could not forgive. And it was in this charged atmosphere that Fort Sumter stood. When South Carolina seceded, its leaders deemed it an insult to their new government that federal troops remained. They demanded surrender. To hold the fort, the U.S. troops needed food. Supplies dwindled. The Confederate forces at the gates swelled. At stake was the nation. A continued fragile truce between North and South. At stake was war. In this fraught moment, Abraham Lincoln received the letter about Fort Sumter. The question before him was whether to fight, to send in supplies, or to evacuate, each choice leading to a reaction of national proportions. He received it and he immediately paused. He pondered. Abraham Lincoln pondered, with tensions rising, with Confederate representatives knocking at his door, with streams of job seekers crowding into the White House. Lincoln considered. He stayed grounded, and he considered. He asked his newly appointed cabinet members to weigh in. When most said abandon Fort Sumter, he continued pondering. Days passed, tensions rose, and Abraham Lincoln stood in the midst of it, considering the surest path forward. We know the ending of the story. In the short term, Sumter was lost. In the longer term, the Union held. In the much longer term, we are still grappling with the legacy of enslavement into today. When I read this story, I was struck by three things. One, the parallels with today's national landscape. Two, Lincoln's ability to resist chaos and think clearly. And three, how challenging that is for us to do today with our 24-hour news cycle. Today we hear echoes of that pre-Civil War time, the national polarization, the drive by a few elites at the very top to grab and keep power, the anger, the high stakes, but there is also now the pace of it. News not delivered by horseback, but by rapid-fire social media. We live in a maelstrom of distressing news. Maybe that is the point of it, to distract and exhaust us. So there is no more important matter before us than staying grounded in the midst of it. Staying grounded so we can prioritize, think clearly, and act from the strength at the center of ourselves. Our first task is bringing ourselves back to center. So we call on prayer, meditation, music, laughter. This last one, Abraham Lincoln used liberally in his storytelling. We may not feel that we have time for that with our democracy at risk, but staying grounded is our first task of resistance. When we feel overwhelmed, we are called to slow down, step back, breathe, not to avoid what's happening, but to wisely respond to it. And when the dust of the chaos settles, we then stay grounded in our heads, in our hearts, and in our gut. First, we stay grounded in our heads, in what we know. Over the past 6 years since the killing of George Floyd, many of us began waking up to the legacy of enslavement. Statistics on health, wealth, and educational disparities evidenced this legacy. According to the Boston Indicators Project, in 2022, white U.S. households had about 6 times the wealth of black households. In Massachusetts, black and Hispanic residents are much likelier to rely on Medicaid than whites. And in Boston, life expectancy in Roxbury, an historically black neighborhood, is 23 years less than it is 1 mile away in Whiteback Bay. In the face of this knowledge, Unitarian Universalists hung Black Lives Matter banners on our meeting houses. We examined the history that we have inherited, in which criminal justice, healthcare, and housing systems conspire against people of color. We've held vigils, called for diversity, looked inward, and talked more seriously about reparations. At the Urban Ministry in 2020, we made commitments for racial reckoning, promising to interrogate the history of First Church Roxbury, the congregation whose historic meeting house we inherited and now inhabit. Since then, we've worked in partnership with the African American community, searching archives for the names of people enslaved by white congregants, tracing their lives and lineage to name and to honor them. In 2020, we also committed to a vision in which all people have equitable access to resources and the ability to shape the future. And so we deepened our commitment to our after-school program, supporting high school students of color in becoming the city's next leaders and in reaching their dreams. They face greater barriers than their white suburban peers. More students of color attend high-poverty schools with fewer resources. Wealth disparities mean that black students have to borrow more money to go to college and then carry more debt into adulthood. And once they graduate, they continue to face inequity. According to the Center for Economic and Social Justice at Roxbury Community College, white workers in Greater Boston with a high school diploma make $2 more per hour than people of color with an associate's degree. We work persistently, insistently to ensure that these students have opportunity to thrive despite the barriers that they have inherited. And now comes this groundswell effort to turn back time, to cover over Black history, to halt progress in achieving basic fairness. Recently, an activist in Greater Boston spoke of how it's become more difficult in this chaos to get people to focus on racial justice because there are so many issues to face. And yes, there are. But the work that we all took up to address the racist fissures in our nation is no less relevant today than in 2020. Indeed, it is at the heart of what is going on. According to the Boston Indicators Project, the federal budget cuts we faced will further increase racial disparities. Quote, by cutting supports like Medicaid and SNAP and reshaping student aid, this bill not only worsens income inequality today, but also sets in motion dynamic that will widen wealth disparities tomorrow, especially along racial lines. The end of the Civil War was not an end to racism. Pro-slavery Americans surrendered but were not transformed, and racism has shape-shifted through the last century, through lynchings and redlining and mass incarceration into today and this landscape. Racism may not be the only thread running through today's struggle for the soul of our country, but it is most certainly a thick and tenacious one. So we ground ourselves in the work that we have already undertaken, in what we've learned, in what we know, and we stay the course. Second, we ground ourselves in our hearts by who we know and love. We ground ourselves in community. We center ourselves in real relationships and how we're gathered right here today in this faith community. Here is the power to create, to transform, to lift up. Consider how within this faith community we call one another forward, offer opportunities for activism, lend encouragement. Who here has been to a protest or written a letter to an elected official or sent a postcard or learned about a social justice issue because of Wayland, this community in Wayland? It's a lot of hands. It's because someone asked you to, invited you to, was willing to stand with you. We do together what would be harder to do alone. Let us feel the energy that pulses right here in this beloved circle, and let that ground us. And let us also widen the circle. In Greater Boston, we remain deeply segregated by race and by income. To be fully and powerfully grounded in what is happening today, we need to get proximate to those who are most directly impacted by both inherited and generational inequity and by the cuts for SNAP and healthcare that people are facing today. Brian Stevenson of the Equal Justice Initiative speaks of the power of proximity. Ultimately, he says, quote, "What we do to get proximate to those who are disfavored, what we do to change narratives, what we do to stay hopeful, what we do that is inconvenient and uncomfortable can sometimes be the most meaningful thing that we do," end quote. At the Urban Ministry, one of our deepest values is partnership and proximity. We walk with Roxbury Organization, we build relationship, we listen to the Black community, which has a deep and lived experience in overcoming oppression by weaponized government institutions, something that some of us may be facing and fearing for the very first time. When we reach out beyond our mostly white and comfortable communities, we ground ourselves in the power of relationship. When we get proximate to communities directly impacted by the pain that is being doled out, then the crisis we are in moves from an idea into our hearts, and we move with greater assurance and urgency. And 3, we ground ourselves in our gut, in knowing who we are. Many of us are afraid of what the future holds. I'm afraid. Single-handedly, we can't control or predict what is to come. But every single one of us here has been through hard times, and we survived. For every one of us, there was a time when that we were overwhelmed or so full of sorrow or lost, and it was hard to see the way forward. But we found the way, and here we are. Every one of us has that glowing coal at the center of us that got us through. Eric Larson writes of Lincoln's Secretary of State, William Seward, in the early days of the new administration, when Seward tried to manipulate the new president about Fort Sumter in the midst of that cloud of stress. Seward, the more polished politician, was certain that he could push around this country lawyer, this man who'd suffered the early loss of a mother whose father was barely literate, who grew up poor. What he did not recognize yet, Larson writes, is that there was steel in this Illinois lawyer. We have within us gifts of steel and light to bring to the times that we are in, and I'm going to lift a few of them up. The things that got us through, the strength at the center. I was grateful for each day. Awareness and reflection. Putting one foot in front of the other. Curiosity got me through moving from my southern home state to New England, to where I knew no one, new home, new job. Curiosity. a belief that I am worthy, ability to be highly adaptive and flexible, family, getting things done, people in my life. I didn't give up. These are just some of the gifts right here in this moment. There is a cloud of chaos and hurt that is happening right now, but we have the power to resist by what we know, by our relationships and connections, and by who we are, by our own journey. May we remember that we are enough, more than enough for the times that we are in. And let us keep walking forward in faith. In the words of the Reverend William Barber, forward together, not one step back. And may it be so, and amen. I invite you to join in singing our closing hymn, which is printed in your order of service. Go out remembering that you are enough. You are more than enough for the times that we are in. Go out, keep walking forward in faith, not one step back. Amen.